You have before you the 2026 millage rate. We have a short presentation for that, just to go over the millage and the calculation of that. Just a reminder, the millage rate is a tax levied for county purposes. It is the tax rate per $1,000 of assessed property value, and you determine that by dividing your budgeted tax revenues by your total digest, which is the value of the county, and subtracting any rollbacks. The taxpayer's bill of rights comes into play there. That requires a rollback of the millage if there's significant net value from reassessment. You have to calculate the value of that reassessment and subtract it from your prior year's millage rate, and that applies to all existing real property. If you do not roll back to that computed millage rate, you do have to advertise a tax increase as a percentage and hold 3 public hearings. Just as an example, if you had $100 million added from reassessment, and your digest was $2 billion, and your prior year millage rate was 5.283, the millage equivalent of that $100 million is 0.264, and so your rollback millage rate would be 5.019. If you left your millage rate at 5.283, you would have to advertise a 5.26% tax increase. For the actual calculation, there is $102.6 million added from reassessment, and your digest is $5.7 billion. Last year's millage rate was 5.051, so the millage equivalent of that $102.6 million is 0.091 mils. So your rollback millage for 2026 is 4.96. If you had left it at 5.051, you would have had to advertise a 1.83% tax increase. There are several formulas that you use to calculate millage. The gross millage is going to be all of your budgeted property tax and your local option sales tax divided by that digest. And then you have a rollback for the local option sales tax, which is that local option sales tax amount divided by the total digest. The difference in those two is your net millage rate. Just a reminder on local option sales tax, we have 8 cents here in Lowndes County. Of that, 4 cents goes to the state of Georgia. 1 cent is for transportation spliced, which is for regional transportation improvement projects. You have your spliced, which is split between the county and the municipalities, and that's for capital improvements. Your education spliced, which is split between the school systems, and that's for capital improvements. And then local option sales tax, which is split between the county and the cities, and that is for property tax relief, and it has to roll back your property tax. So this is a calculation of the M&O, which is your maintenance and operation millage, the countywide millage we're discussing. Again, the total digest is $5.7 billion. Your county taxes and your local option sales tax, your total taxes there are 48.9, or just under $49 million. So that gives you a gross millage of 8.581. And then when you calculate that local option sales tax rollback, that is 3.621 mils, which gives you the 4.960, which is the rollback millage. At the 96% collection rate, which is what we typically see in the first year of collection, that's about $27.2 million. Your special district millages, you have your industrial authority, which is a countywide, that is recommended to remain at 1.1 mil. Your recreation authority, again, that's countywide at 1.25. And fire services, which is in the unincorporated area, that is recommended to remain at 2.5. As an example, for a property tax owner who lived in the unincorporated area, this is comparing 2025 with 2026. If you had a property valued at $200,000, the assessed value of that is 40%, which is $80,000. You subtract your homestead exemption, that gives you a net taxable base of $74,000. Your county tax would go from $373.77 to $367.04, which is a reduction of $6.73. There's no change in the recreation or the industrial. The county school system is rolling back their millage, so there's a reduction there of about $17.02, and no change with the unincorporated fire. So your estimated tax on that same property overall is estimated to go down about $24. For that same property that's located inside the city of Valdosta, you would still see that same decrease of the county tax, no change in the recreation or the industrial. The city of Valdosta is proposing an increase, so that would go up about $129. The city schools are rolling back, so that goes down about $19. So overall, that tax bill would change by about $104. If you look at the breakdown, again, this goes back to the unincorporated. For every dollar of taxes that you pay, about 22 cents of that actually comes to Lowndes County. 5 cents goes to the Parks and Recreation Authority, 5 cents to the Industrial Authority, 57 cents to the county school system, and 11 cents to the fire department. For every dollar for someone inside the city limits of Valdosta, about 17 cents comes to Lowndes County, 4 cents to the Recreation Authority, 4 cents to the Industrial Authority, 28 cents to the city of Valdosta, and 46 cents to the city school system. If you look at the history of the millage rate, the bar that you see is the county's millage rate, the countywide millage rate, and you'll see at the 4.9, that is about just about half of what it was back in 2005. It has significantly come down, and it has come down every year since 2016. Looking at the property tax and budget history, this puts it in more of a chart form. You can see that from 2018 to 2026, the increase in the digest value of just over $3 billion to $5.7 billion. But you can see that the county's millage rate has gone from 8.814 to 4.960. And while the budget has increased over that time period, that next to last column there, estimated taxes, that is the tax revenue that millage has brought in. That has remained almost the same through that time period. So even though the digest has increased and the budget has increased, the amount of tax revenue that the county actually takes in has remained relatively the same. And this just puts that in a graphical form. This is on two different scales. So the two lines go with the left-hand side that's in millions of dollars. That is your budget and your property tax. The area goes to the right side, which is in billions of dollars. That shows the increase in the digest. And while you see that dark line at the top, which is the budget increasing, the actual property tax revenue line has remained relatively flat. And then finally, where does your money go? This is just a breakdown of every dollar you spend and how that comes to the county. 9 cents of that goes to the Board of Commissioners and Administration. 1 cent goes to the Board of Elections, 2 cents to the Tax Commissioner, 3 cents to the Board of Assessors, 2 cents for engineering, 1 cent for contingency, which are unexpected things that happen. 11 cents goes to all of your court services, 36 cents to the Sheriff's Department, 2 cents for animal services, 2 cents for emergency medical services, which is ambulance service. All other public safety gets 4 cents, public works 12 cents, industrial 5 cents, recreation 7 cents, and all other, which is includes your outside agencies, gets about 3 cents. So with that, if there are no questions, again, the countywide millage is before you, and that's recommended to roll back to 4.96 mils.
Any questions for Ms. Black?
Stephanie, thank you for that presentation. Will that be posted on our website?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I just wanted to say for clarity, I guess this reflects no tax increase for the county, unincorporated parts of the county, correct?
Correct.
I want to thank you and staff for helping us save dollars in these trying times.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the 4.960 mil.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5B is the adoption of the special district millage for the industrial authority. Ms. Black, you've already kind of made some recognition to that, so go ahead.
Yes, sir. Prior to 2025, the Georgia Department of Revenue required the millage assigned to authorities to be included in that countywide millage. But with the adoption of House Bill 581 and related legislation, the millage assessed for authority funding is now considered a special district and is adopted separately. The proposed millage for 2026 for the industrial authority is 1.1 mils, which is no change from 2026.
Any questions for Mrs. Black? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I make the motion to adopt the industrial authority mill at 1.1.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the industrial authority's special district millage at 1.10. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Evans. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5C is the adoption of the special district millage for the Parks and Recreation Authority. Ms. Black.
Yes, sir. The same as the prior one. This is now a special district millage and has to be adopted separately. Parks and Recreation has been set at 1.25 mils since it was first implemented, and there's no proposed change in that.
Any questions for Ms. Black? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the special district millage for Parks and Rec at 1.25. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5D is the adoption of the special district millage for fire services. Ms. Black.
Yes, sir, thank you. Following the board's approval to expand fire services in fiscal year 2022, a special district was created that includes the unincorporated area, and that fire millage has been set at 2.5 mils since its inception, and there's no recommended changes.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Black? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the special district millage for fire services at 2.5.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the special district millage for fire services at 2.50. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Evans. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5E is batch 1 of a resurfacing group for the Transportation Improvement Act, known as TIA. And this is the project agreement for that resurfacing. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The board approved the TIA local delivery application for batch 1 resurfacing project on July 28, 2026. GDOT has approved that application and sent staff the project agreement to be approved by the board. Staff cannot begin any part of the process to construct the project without this agreement. The agreement is eligible for the project cost up to $13,134,000. This is TIA 2 project, and it's resurfacing 36 county roads.
Any questions for Mr. McLeod?
Do we have a total of the mileage of all these roads?
It is just a little over 52 miles.
Thank you, Chad.
A lot of new roads.
Huh?
A lot of resurfacing on roads. All right, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve and authorize you to sign those documents.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the document.
Second.
Yes, sir.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5F is the Twin Lakes Road paving and drainage improvements. Again, this is a TIA Transportation Investment Act project, and this is supplemental agreement number 1. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir. The original agreement dated 12/28 of 2022 with GDOT has a not-to-exceed amount of $2.1 million for Twin Lakes Road. Staff has requested the TIA office for an additional funding request of $1,389,400 to cover the remainder of the project for a total of $3,489,400.
And TIA has agreed.
TIA has agreed. They've sent the supplement agreement number 1 for you to approve.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
Any
that's-
questions for Mr. McLeod?
That's really just the difference between bidding something and estimating something in 2022 versus,
Oh, absolutely.
so it's not that it was poor.
This is the difference in estimating 2018 versus 2026.
So there's no scope change or?
That's correct.
Or no, okay.
Yeah.
And this work has already been started.
That's
When-
correct.
When will that road be completed in a rough estimate?
15 months.
Also, keep in mind, in the TIA operation, they build in a certain amount of revenue out of that 1 cent for inflation issues. TIA 1 that we just finished with, they basically really was underestimating everything, or actually overestimating everything, underestimating the revenue. That's the reason why it ended a little earlier, because the revenue came in. And so really the inflation factor wasn't really touched much on TIA 1 until right at the end. So there's still revenue there for inflation, but yet TIA 2 also, they build in an inflation factor in there just for this purpose.
Makes sense.
Okay? If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the supplemental agreement number 1 and authorize the chairman to sign.
Okay, we have a motion to approve supplemental agreement number 1 for the Twin Lakes Road paving and drainage improvements and authorize the chairman to sign the documents. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5G is the 2026 Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funding Application, and this is in regards to any conflict of interest. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir. Lowndes County intends to apply for the 2026 CDBG DR for improvements to Riverside Road. As part of the application, Lowndes County must comply with federal conflict of interest regulations. If an employee, agent, consultant, officer, or elected official of the state or of a unit of general local government, or if any designated public agencies or subrecipients could be affected in any way by CDBG DR funding, a full disclosure must be submitted to DCA as part of the application. Additionally, the person or persons affected must not participate in project discussion, planning, or voting. Staff has done some due diligence. We're not aware of any conflict of interest related to the proposed application target area based off of our research. And what we would ask is the commission to discuss this, as you already have, to determine that there is no conflict of interest.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. McLeod? Commissioners, unless there is a conflict of interest someone would like to bring to everybody's attention at this point, then I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a motion to approve? Do I have a second? I have a second by Ms. Evans. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5H is the 2026 Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Again, the CDBG DR funding application, and this is the engineering selection. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir. As part of the same project and the same grant application, Lowndes County has to select a civil engineer through an RFP process. Staff prepared and advertised the RFP. Staff received 11 submissions, 10 that met the requirements. These scores we provided to you yesterday morning. The top 3 were Lovell Engineering and Associates, Innovate Engineering, and Axis Engineering. All 3 of those are local firms. They scored in that order, and then the cost, Lovell was at 12% of construction, Innovate was at 9%, and Axis provided a lump sum price of $255,000.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. McLeod? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, seeing that the estimated construction cost was, according to Mr. McLeod, was around $4 million, I see that as being the difference between 9% and 12% being roughly $120,000. So my motion would be that we approve Innovate Engineering as the engineer of record for this.
Okay. So we have a motion then to approve Innovate Engineering as the engineer. for this
Second.
project. Do I have a second? Mr. Marshall, was that a second?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we have a second. All right, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. All right, agenda item 5I is the 2026 Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Again, the CDBG-DR funding application, and this is the submittal resolution. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir. Again, as part of the same project and application for Riverside Road, the attached resolution is required to be approved by the board before staff can submit the application for the grant. The resolution simply states the facts related to the application and allows the Southern Georgia Regional Commission to complete and submit the final application.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. McLeod?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to personally thank Chad, Page, yourself, and the remainder of the commission, and Pastor Morgan, and the residents of that area for helping us make this happen for them.
Yep.
Thanks.
Well, again, we're praying that it is going to happen because we've got to be awarded the grant. But yes, the process of going through the applications, working with the South Georgia Regional Commission to help guide us through the grant process. Again, everybody has really done a great job and pulled together because this turns out to be a very significant, very important road. Really didn't really show itself until we had all the storms in place, and because there is an African-American cemetery on that road. As I've said, we've actually had some incidences where funerals would have to be postponed because they just could not get down the road. It was that bad. So hopefully, this is going to eliminate all that, and we'll have a good area over there, so.
When would we know if we're awarded?
So the grant application, if I'm not mistaken, is due October the 5th. It was September 5th, and they moved it to October. And then typically by the end of the year, first of the year, we would get notice of award or no award.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, the chairman to sign the resolution.
All right, we have a motion to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5J is a data center moratorium on accepting applications for permits. Yesterday morning at the work session, you heard from Ms. Dukes. I know she regrets she's unable to be here this evening because she's just a little under the weather. So, commissioners, unless you have any questions in regards to that over what we discussed at work session, then I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the resolution as presented, and that does include a 60-day moratorium on the application for permits. So do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you, Commissioners. Please, thank you very much. All right, we'll now move on to agenda item 6A, and this is the one bid item that we have, and this is for the land application system known as LAS. This is the holding pond sludge removal. Mr. Stalvey.
Yes, sir. Due to buildup of sludge over several years, the 25-acre holding pond at the LAS needs to have sludge removed. Staff, in conjunction with Carter and Sloop Engineering, advertised for bids to have the sludge removed. 5 companies submitted bids ranging from $914,240 to $6,681,594. Tyndall Water LLC, doing business as Southeastern Environmental Service, submitted the low bid of $914,240. However, after reviewing its experience, staff and Carter and Sloop Engineering have determined that it does not have the capability in all respects to perform fully and reliably the contract requirements. BAM2 Incorporated submitted the next bid of $2,978,848 and met the contract requirements of the bid documents. Staff recommends the board reject the bid of Tyndall Water LLC, doing business as Southeastern Environmental Services, and accept the bid of BAM2 Incorporated for $2,978,848, and authorize the chairman to sign the agreement.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Stalvey? All right, hearing none, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve BAM2 Incorporated as the bid for this project.
BAM2.
BAM2.
Okay, we have a motion to approve BAM2 for the bid on the project. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Whoops, let's show our hands. There we go, unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, we'll now move on, well, we won't move on to the county manager's report because Ms. Dukes is not with us tonight. But we will move right on into our citizens wishing to be heard at this time. Let's see, we will start with Ms. Tatiana Babcock. If you would, please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
All right, my name is Tatiana Babcock.
Please, there's it there.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
And I live at 3561 Skeet Range Road. And I wanted to point out, we do have a large nonpartisan group here tonight, and I want to welcome them as well. So good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, and neighbors. Our county manager, Ms. Paige Dukes, has spoke about rising cost, housing, rent, and everyday pressures on families. That concern is real. A lot of us feel it every month when the bills come due. So I ask a simple question. If we are truly worried that people cannot afford rent and the cost of living, why would we welcome an industry whose entire purpose is to replace the human work with machines? These are not ordinary warehouses. These are AI data centers. They exist so companies can run artificial intelligence at massive scale. The same AI already taking jobs in customer service, bookkeeping, dispatch, legal research, insurances, logistics, and parts of the healthcare and our education. Reports show AI is eliminating thousands of jobs every month across the United States, and those numbers are accelerating. That is the business model. A hyperscale facility does not hire hundreds of local families for the long term. Construction jobs, they do come and go, and even those are not guaranteed to the locals. After the concrete is poured, you're left with a small crew, security, a few technicians, and remote operators who may not even live here. The computers inside work 24 hours a day doing work that used to require people. Here's the contradiction. We hear concern that families cannot keep up with rent and groceries. Yet we are asked to accept a project that shrinks the future job market our children will be walking into. You cannot say you care about affordability and then help build the infrastructure that makes good local jobs disappear. And this is where the disconnect becomes impossible to ignore. Leadership in this county has grown disconnected from the people who actually live here. When residents show up meeting after meeting with real concerns about noise, water, power, sinkholes, property values, and their children's futures, the response is often a carefully worded presentation, vague assurances, and the message that we just don't understand. Hard questions are treated as uninformed or emotional instead of as citizens who know their own land and know their own lives. That is not leadership, that is distance. If officials lived the same daily pressures, the same rent, the same power bills, the same worry about whether their kids have real careers here, they would not treat a hyperscale AI data center as just another economic developmental site. They would feel the same fear we feel when something this large is pushed towards residential neighborhoods with so little transparency and so few permanent local jobs. If fewer people have stable work, rent gets harder, young families leave, kids grow up watching opportunity move somewhere else. Our children will inherit three things from the decisions that are made in this room. First, their jobs. If we train them for careers that AI is designed to replace, we are setting them up to compete with a machine that never sleeps and it never asks for a raise. Second, their cost of living. Data centers demand enormous power. Residents across the state have already learned that the new loads change the whole system: generation, transmission, long-term rates. Our kids will live with those costs for decades, not for one election cycle. And third, their home. A hyperscale site next to neighborhoods, it changes the noise, the light, traffic, water demand, and the character of the land. In a county with sinkholes and karst, this is not a small risk. Tax money cannot replace a job that no longer exists. Tax money cannot buy back quiet neighborhoods. Tax money cannot give a teenager a future if the work that built this county has been automated away. If the county is serious about people being able to afford rent, protect the things that let these people earn a living, such as local jobs, stable utilities, safe land, and a community that's worth staying in. Do not tell us you're worried about the cost of living while paving the way for an industry that treats human labor as the problem that needs to be solved. And do not stay so disconnected from the people of Lowndes County that you can no longer hear them when they say clearly and repeatedly, "We do not want this next to our homes." Put a real moratorium in place. Finish a strong ordinance before any permits. Put our children's future ahead of a speculative AI campus. Our kids should not have to pay the price for decisions made without them and without us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is Mr. George Fisher. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is George Fisher. I live at 5278 Hall Road in Hayhira, Georgia. I've been working, as you know, on what lies beneath. Our limestone, we all agree, is a karst limestone. It's got a lot of tunnels and caves in it. What I've been doing for the last 2 or 3 months, I've looked at 22 different images, satellite images, over our county. I've looked at from 1993 to December 26th, 2025. We have satellite images. These images are taken right above the site. They sort out. We don't have clouds. We don't have rain. We can see what is there very well. What I've been looking for are trying to identify any karst features on the surface. What can you see on the surface? Are they indications of anything below the surface that should be a concern? I've also looked closely at existing places that have been studied, including Shadrick Sinkhole, Shiloh Road, River Chase, Ocean Pond, Twin Lakes, Snake Nation Road, and Camelot Crossing. I've looked at all of those in detail. I can actually make it like a movie. I can get an image up there and I can flip back and forth, change the seasons, change the angles. I can rotate the angles. A lot of the terminology that we use is a little confusing because a lot of this work came from Slovakia and Croatia. So it's in a Slavic language, so they're kind of hard to pronounce. So I'm just going to use simple ones here. All of my ideas, everything technically that I speak here, I have vetted. I send my notes to recognized professors of hydrology, of geology. I've got a former fellow I worked with that lives in Perth, that's Australia, is one of the premier hydrologists in Southeast Asia. And I get it vetted. I said, do you see anything in what I'm saying that's incorrect or is not right? Occasionally I get feedback, and usually my illustrations are exaggerated. You've compressed it too much. It's indicating this. So I changed my illustrations that I don't show. What I have found is where the data center is going to be located off of Coleman Road, I've identified potentially 2 large dissolution features. I've named them Mutt and Jeff, for the lack of a better word. Mutt is about 500 feet in diameter. Jeff is about 400 feet. They are indicated on the 1998 Georgia Soils Report as wetlands, as a circle, as a depression. They're on the crest of the feature, which means they're not bogs. The crest of the feature, the water would drain off. A recent aerial view of that reveals water in both of these things, a lot of water. So my concern is that they are in communication from the surface down to the aquifer. The overlying rock, the Hawthorne group, is very shallow there. In fact, the whole county dips down to the east as far as our aquifer and the overburden. So it's very, very, very shallow there, very near the surface. These depressions are aligned in a line that's probably due to a compressional fracture that compressed this. And they are designated wetlands, so we have to be very careful with the wetlands. I've also looked at other features that I mentioned last time here to the east of the railroad tracks going down to the river. What I'm looking for there are depressions, slope failure, dissolution crevasses, fluvial washouts, and changing stream patterns, and even some trees that are knocked over there. So that's what I've been doing. And I do want to correct a previous statement I made. When I'm talking about the aquifer, I really want to change that when I speak about the groundwater. I'm talking about the aquifer, but in researching some of the hydrology, it's really the groundwater that is my concern. We don't want to contaminate the groundwater. So what I want to ask you to do is to consider in the ordinance putting in a very strong geophysical study. I talked to a geophysicist yesterday on my road. This is what we do. They're out of Tallahassee and out of Tampa. This is what they do. They do electrical testing to measure what the ground is like. Let's build our house on solid rock and not on shifting sand.
Thanks, sir. All right, our next speaker is Jen Farrell. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Jen Farrell, 480 Murray Road. I am here to address the conduct of the commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and let me apologize in advance to the people behind me. Public speaking is not my thing. On August 11th in this room, Dr. Treva Geer made a comment to the commissioners that they, in the process of being elected, were married to the people. Marriage, as we all know, is only truly successful when built upon a foundation of mutual trust. Yet meeting after meeting, while we sit in this room, thank you, we are expected to follow and demanded to follow rules of decorum while we watch all of you on your phones, answering calls, sending text messages, whatever it is that you're doing. As plainly as I can possibly say it, it's disrespectful. It's giving rules for thee, but not for me. There are currently matters of public interest that have large portions of the public involved in attending these meetings regularly, and some that are here for the first time. These matters of public interest are discussed even more frequently on social media, where there are no rules of decorum. Everyone is free to weigh in as they see fit in these conversations, oftentimes become extremely spirited. I am the admin of one local Facebook group with over 31,000 members. the vast majority of whom are Loudoun County residents, business owners, and taxpayers. Several of you seated before me are members of that group. I'm here today to place on the public record comments left by Mark Weisenbaker in that group.
We're not going to mention any of the commissioners' names now. You can admonish, say what you want to say, but we're not going to call out any
I'll
commissioner,
take his name
please.
out, that's fine.
Okay.
On the evening of July 28th, someone came into Miss Rachel's internet to tell me, and I quote, "There will be another meeting like this one. Get off the couch, show up, and see for yourself. Then maybe, just maybe, others will notice you probably have a brain or part of one." It puts in question the validity of our marriage. These comments have now been spread far and wide throughout the community. I brought 50 printout copies that have already been given out. You may each have one. We've also turned all of those comments into vinyl stickers for anyone in the audience that may want them. Suggesting people should not be asking questions about these meetings unless they are also willing to attend ignores your disabled constituents who may not be able to physically attend. It ignores your economically challenged constituents who may not have transportation to and from these meetings. It ignores your constituents who work second shift or long hours. It ignores our local farmers and farm workers and a large number of Loudoun County residents who may otherwise want to attend these meetings but can't. Which then brings forth the question, what happened to the high-priced equipment that was purchased to live stream these meetings? This is unacceptable conduct by someone who we, your constituents, expect a higher level of professionalism and integrity from. In closing, I would like to remind the entirety of you that we elected you to sit up there. We can remove each and every one of you by recall. We expect more and we deserve more. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is Britta Mink. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Britta Mink, 807 Blythewood Road, Valdosta. I am disappointed. I'm terribly disappointed. I'm glad I followed Jen because what she said is a lot of what I feel, and that is unheard, completely unheard. I think a lot of us in this room feel unheard. We do not want this center. We do not want this data center. We want a complete moratorium. 60 days, that's great, thank you. I think that's wonderful and we appreciate it. We do appreciate the 60 days. But we do not want it at all. If for some reason you guys cannot understand this, please hear it now. We do not want this. There are a lot of reasons. It's not going to be in my backyard, but I've lived here since I was 3. I love this area. I don't want to move out. And all of the things that are going to happen, they may happen after I die. I'm old. I don't have children. My nieces and nephews don't live here. My great nieces and nephews don't live here. They never will. So you could say I don't have a dog in this fight. But the people that I love are still here, and they're going to be here. And the fact that you guys are even considering this, that means that you don't love this place. And that's upsetting to me. If you can't tell I'm upset, then you have less of a heart than I thought you did. This is going to ruin a lot of people's lives. This is going to take down the value of their houses. This is going to ruin the land. This is going to destroy a lot of the animals. Like I said, I'm an old woman, so I bird watch. Do you know how many birds are going to go away and never come back if this place is built? We have beautiful birds here. And this is going to make those birds go away. Please don't do this. Please. This isn't right. This is not for us. It's not my backyard, but it's my home. It's your home, and you should care more about it. You really should.
All right, our next speaker is Charlotte Noel Lundy. Rick, please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Noelle Lundy, and I'm a resident and student at Valdosta State University. That's 1500 North Patterson Street. Go Blazers. I am here to talk about the proposition to build an AI data center in the Foxborough subdivision. Aside from the fact that we as a community are saying we do not want a data center here, and that the voice and opinions of the people should be enough, a data center would damage our community in several ways. The sound levels of the methane gas turbines used to power AI data centers have been compared to that of jet engines, making it impossible for residents and children nearby to sleep at night, which increases rates of insomnia. And according to uncihealthcare.org, lack of sleep increases risks of dementia, depression, and weight gain. It's especially damaging to newborn babies and young children, as it can have lasting effects of damage to their brain development, putting them at increased risk for developing issues related to mood regulation and intellectual disabilities. A data center would also cause community electric bills and water bills to skyrocket, a precedent set by residents in other parts of the country who have been so unfortunate to have a data center built in their neighborhood. This would affect all kinds of people in our town, everyone like elderly on fixed income, both single and dual income households, and it would only add to the many factors that affect rent affordability already. It also has huge impacts on our environment, like contaminating groundwater, taking away crucial amounts of clean water from residents, and the decimation of local bird populations. Data centers are not only an attack on low-income people, the increased use of reliance on generative AI is an attack on our humanity and our right to sustainable living conditions. We cannot separate ourselves from this land. We cannot live without clean air or consistent, affordable access to clean water. Our future is at stake, and a future where the world is a desolate wasteland of data centers is no future at all. Please choose the people of Valdosta. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is Mr. Jimmy LaFiles. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Jimmy LaFiles, 3561 River Chase Drive. First of all, thank y'all for giving me a chance to talk. I appreciate it. As y'all know, my family are long-term Lowndes County residents and intend to stay that way. I'm an industrial chemist. As I've reported already, my research on the chemical side of data centers indicates that the proposed 480 megawatt data center will have over 7 million pounds of either ethylene glycol or propylene glycol on site, and could have tens of thousands of pounds of highly toxic PFAS chemicals, AKA forever chemicals, because they never degrade into safer chemistry. These are highly toxic water-soluble chemicals that, if released in the environment, will migrate into the groundwater and into our drinking water, and we have no way to fix that problem. 50 pounds of PFAS pollutes the entire Georgia-Florida aquifer above the EPA safe drinking water standards of 4 parts per trillion. But I've reported all this already, so tonight I want to talk about something else. Every one of these meetings starts with an invocation. We ask God to be present in this room and to bless us and guide the people that are here making these decisions. And I take some solace in that, because I know the job you guys have is really hard, trying to balance economic growth through the county and at the same time maintain a high standard of living for the people there. On the one hand, the data center could provide a lot of tax revenue for the county that could be used for many good purposes and some jobs. On the other hand, the data center could generate a lot of serious problems. Nearby neighborhoods may be faced with nuisance noise, lower property values, flooding from increased stormwater runoff, and possibly more frequent sinkholes. If there are chemical spills, all Lowndes County citizens will be faced with drinking water polluted with even higher level of forever chemicals that we have now, which will be there for generations to come. And these chemicals are known to cause several kinds of cancer and autoimmune dysfunction. All of the problems I just mentioned are specific to the proposed Coleman Road site. A data center built on a site that didn't have all the characteristics of the Coleman Road site wouldn't present all these problems. The Coleman Road site is close to nearby neighborhoods and the Withlacoochee River, and combined with that, it's on a highly unstable, porous karst geology. I am sure DC Blocks, the company that will build the data center, sell it, and then leave town with their money, will claim to have answers to all these issues. Do I believe that DC Blocks can design and build a 480 megawatt data center on karst limestone within 2,500 feet of the Withlacoochee River that will run safely for years? No. I've got 40 years of experience with heavy industrial chemical plants, designing them, building them, managing them, and I can tell you, it's just not going to happen. The margin for error is too small. Remember, 50 pounds of PFAS pollutes the whole aquifer. Over time, equipment fails, pipes crack, inspections fail, people fail to follow procedures, extreme weather happens, budgets get cut. Given the fragile karst substrate, the buildings may fail structurally, as we've already seen with Camelot Crossing. But the difference is that data center is going to have millions of pounds of chemicals in it when it goes. When is that going to happen? Is that going to happen in year 3? Or is it going to happen in year 10? Do you want to have to constantly worry about that? Do you want that to be your legacy as a commissioner? So I go back to the invocation. God calls on us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. We can't make the world perfect for our neighbors, but we're called to help them whenever we can. People in Foxborough and other nearby neighborhoods need a safe, decent place to live, and some cannot afford to move. The citizens of Lowndes County depend on the Georgia-Florida aquifer water that is safe for drinking and agriculture and recreational uses. No amount of tax revenue is worth compromising the basic needs of the citizens you're serving. I understand that the path forward is to write an ordinance that protects the citizens. To really protect the citizens, the ordinance must eliminate the possibility of chemical spills, not just establish what happens after a spill, because removing these chemicals from our aquifer can't be done. With all due respect, I don't think it's possible to write such an ordinance. I'm asking you to please conscientiously consider the implications of the current path forward. If you do that, I think you'll follow your heart and agree that the Coleman Road site is just too risky for the citizens of Lowndes County. And maybe start focusing your energies on a more appropriate site. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker, and I'm sorry, I can't read the first name, but it looks like Dixon. Sarah Dixon. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Laura Hannah Dixon. I live on 3978 Apple Cross Road.
Laura, if you'll stay about 6 to 8 inches from the microphone, I'll amplify it. It will sound much better.
Okay, is that good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. A lot of what I have written here has already been stated, but I'm going to reiterate it anyway, and if I need to move around for the microphone, please let me know. as taxpayers, our voices need to be heard. And so many of us have said so many times that we don't want a data center here in Valdosta or in any of the surrounding areas. There are livestock and animals dying and being stillborn because of data centers. And we can see that in other towns and other places where the data centers have been implemented. So we should learn from example rather than try to make the same mistakes that are causing real problems, like the livestock dying, like the polluted water. And I know that a few weeks ago, we saw a presentation of what might happen to the water if an ordinance is created to take the water somewhere else. And I would like to echo what Dr. Trevagear said 2 weeks ago when she stated, even if the water is taken away, where is it going to be taken? Is it going to be dumped somewhere else? And, you know, someone on this planet is going to have to deal with the consequences of the forever chemicals that we can never remove out of the water. And there are cancer clusters popping up where these data centers are. And it is not wise for us to see these mistakes, to see the damage from the data centers in other areas of Georgia and all over the United States, and to not pause and say, we don't want that here, because we don't want this damage to happen here. At the very least, consider the moratorium to be more than 2 months. That is not enough time to really think about making the ordinance stronger. It's not enough time to get input from the community, which we really hope that you will allow input from the community. I spoke with a commissioner a couple of months ago, and I asked for community representation to help develop the ordinance, and I was immediately told, no, we are not going to allow a citizen to be part of the drafting the ordinance, because the commissioner said, of course we wouldn't want a citizen on the committee because y'all are opposed to it. I think that that's ludicrous, and it's really just, of course we would want to be on the committee. This is our town. We are the taxpayers, and we elected the commissioners. So please consider working with us on an ordinance. And one example, and we don't want the data center at all, but for example, something that might be included in a strong, robust ordinance that would really protect the citizens would be to not have the data center run on fossil fuels, because what that would do is create a heat island and make the temperature of our area even higher than it is. And we're approaching hurricane season. So we are having hurricanes and weather that is not normal for our area. And part of that is because of global warming. So we really need strong protections environmentally for the water, for example, to protect us from sinkholes, as others have already stated, and because of rising temperatures. I don't want to believe that we are living in a different Lowndes County than we were in 2010 and 2011, whenever we fought the biomass. Well, actually, I didn't know that was going on. I was living in Alabama at the time, but I was born in Lowndes County, and I've lived here all my life except for a couple of years. And during that time, the community was able to stop the biomass from happening, and I hope that we still live in a Lowndes County where the commissioners will hear what we have to say with a conscience.
All right, that's the end of our citizens wishing to be heard. Commissioners, any questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.